Hey, what's up you guys? You're watching Team APS, and in today's video, we're going to ponder the question, do pro players really exist in Yu-Gi-Oh? Let's talk about it. So while I wouldn't say that this is an age-old question, it is one that appears more frequently than you might think. And it's something I've just sort of been thinking about more recently than ever. Do pro players exist? So I guess we have to start by, defining what is a pro player. And there's not like a clear-cut definition, but, a professional of anything would, in my opinion, just be, well, somebody who is really good at something, really, that's kind of their area of expertise. But that might just mean they're an expert. You could say like somebody is an expert on biology or an expert on marketing or graphic design or engineering, whatever. But a professional, I think more of something like an athlete or, somebody who their livelihood or their, I won't say well-being, but, they make a living off of doing whatever they're professional in. So, you think of professional athletes who make a living playing a sport, or whatever it might be, track, if you call it a sport, I don't know, things like that. So, the problem here then becomes, can Yu-Gi-Oh players be pros? And we hear it a lot. I think I hear people, especially on the internet, use the term pro, like, this is a pro player, or pro players are all douchebags or whatever when I meet them. Not saying that they are, but that's just something that you hear a lot. Like people say, oh, they hate pro players, or pro players are arrogant, or the pro players are really smart and they deserve to win. I don't know. The point is though, are they really pros? And I'm going to err on the side of no, because they don't make money, and that's not their fault. But Konami doesn't allow cash prizes to be a thing at YCS events or regionals or anything, and so it means that you'll never get really a true reimbursement for your flight or your hotel if you travel really far to play in a YCS or another event. So with that in mind, it feels like because you can't get any compensation, no reimbursement, can you really say that you're sort of professional? It's not your livelihood. You can't make a living playing Yu-Gi-Oh! If anything, it's honestly a better idea to try to, make a living selling, like buying and selling Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Vendors would make more money than a top player would. And so that's really, I guess you could say a big flaw, right? Like the fact that people can't, it can feel less motivating to win because you don't get the money and you don't really get anything of value. And yes, there's an argument, well, if you win every YCS and get the prize card, you can sell that for a lot. Sure, great, but we know that's not really the same. Ultimately, that's not going to be nearly enough money to really make a living off of. And at that point, that might just be covering like a flight and stuff, right? Like a flight and hotel and food and entry in a tournament. So I really think that that's a big issue and something that, it's not ever really going to get addressed, because the end all here is Konami won't allow, cash prizes. But could there be ways to circumvent it? An example I like to use is esports. I don't know how many of you keep up with that type of stuff, but esports is basically, people who play competitive video games, and they're in teams oftentimes, and they get sponsorships and they travel and compete and win quite a lot of money. They're really big prize pots. And so when I think of that, that's kind of what I think of in terms of professional gamers. Like, you can become a professional gamer. It's sort of something you can aspire to be, a career of sorts. You can't really be a professional Yu-Gi-Oh player, at least not right now. It just doesn't feel like it's a viable career choice because, well, there's just no money involved in it. And let's also talk about, the luck factor. There's just an element of luck in this game that you can't really get rid of. In a competitive video game, generally speaking, everybody kind of starts from, an even angle. Like, let's, talk about like League of Legends or any competitive fighting game or, Dota, StarCraft, all of those. It's teamwork, it's strategy. You're in complete control of what happens in the match. In a fighting game, for example, I play Smash Brothers, for those who don't know. Like, there are like tier lists and stuff, like some characters are better, but ultimately you get the complete control over how the interaction goes once the match starts. So unlike, in Yu-Gi-Oh, where you might get a bad hand or something, You know, it's not really like that. And matchups in Yu-Gi-Oh can be a lot more drastic. In recent years, we've kind of had the whole matchup roulette thing, like power circles where X beats Y, beats Z, beats X deck. So like, you know, your deck might just lose certain matchups. And there are consistent top players who are really good, but even they are known to sort of flunk out in a sense in a lot of tournaments where they might not make it to day 2 of YCS or, you know, the top cut because they, you know, maybe they got outplayed, but also maybe they got, you know, janked out. And it's not, you know, fair to hold it against them, but it also means that being a consistent top threat in Yu-Gi-Oh can be pretty darn difficult. And there are names that we think of when we think of pro players, but I'm led to believe maybe it's just more of a title that we give players that we respect. And, you know, you can say it's kind of endearing. Yeah, you hear some negative things. Like I said, I've heard things like, oh, pro players are douchebags or whatever. But, you know, still you hear things like, oh, well, the pro players are playing this. The pros are saying this is a good tech or this is the best build of this deck. And so, you know, maybe we're just saying pro as in terms of they're good at Yu-Gi-Oh! Maybe we should really be calling them maybe experts or top level players, but not necessarily professionals because they're not getting paid. And sponsorship is something that I think, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh's experimented with. I know that ARG has or had a competitive team. So, you know, that's something they sort of sponsor them to go out and play. So that's sort of an excuse. I don't really know that a professional gaming team would ever really be interested in grabbing, you know, players like Yu-Gi-Oh players. I mean, like Hearthstone's honestly got a better chance just because it's for a number of reasons. But anyway, yeah, you know, so it just leads me to wonder, like, is competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, can it be professional? And that's the question for today. You know, what would it take for you to consider a player a professional? Do you think that could even be a thing in Yu-Gi-Oh? I want to know what you guys think about it. Leave it down in the comments because it's an interesting discussion that kind of gets raised and then not raised. My verdict is that, you know, there isn't such a thing as a professional Yu-Gi-Oh player. You can use it as a, you know, endearing or maybe not so endearing title for somebody, but I don't think that it's something that you can really tangibly be on. You can maybe aspire to be a good Yu-Gi-Oh player and win events, but I don't think that being a professional player is ever really going to be like a viable career choice or a real job description or anything. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'd love to know. We can talk about it. That's it for the video. I hope you guys liked it. Some other things to keep in mind. I'm giving away TCG Player gift cards this month. If you want a chance to win one of them, they're 10 and they're worth $20 a piece. So 10 different people will win. You can enter the giveaway in the description below. And also, if you want to support me personally, you can buy a Team APS playmat. I've used it in several unboxing videos and a couple of like my featured duel stuff. Check it out. It's just, you know, the design with all of us on it. Really cool. You can buy that from Inked Gaming. And follow me on social media and stuff to stay up to date. Anyway, that's going to be it. I hope you guys liked the video. I want to know what you think of this debate. Or I wouldn't even call it a debate, but, you know, just this question. Leave it in the comments, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.